Fellow cardboarders, welcome back. Have you ever heard of a red card that just hard counters any artifact that is being cast? If not, you've came to the right place. It's time for another installment of Think Outside the Deck Box. Today we're talking about Artifact Blast. It's an instant for 1 red and it just counters an artifact. It's from Antiquities and most of you probably never heard of it. I think this card is great in decks that do want to counter or kind of have some interaction. So cards like Tybalt's Trickery we already know, but also Chaos Warp, and I think this just goes greatly alongside those. I am playing this card myself in my Colossus Gruul control deck, which I did not share yet on the channel. Do let me know if you're interested in the deck list. Cards this can counter, for example, are Skull Clamp, which is in like so many decks, Ballas Citadel, but also Great Henge or Aetherflux Reservoir, while the latter is important to be countered since when it hits the battlefield and the opponent already is at 50 or more life, they could pay the 50 life and only then you can destroy it since you do not have priority in between. And this is why countering is so important, but also like anything that is indestructible, like a Darksteel Forge, a Blightsteel Colossus, or you name it. Other decks that might want to play this one are obviously mostly decks that do not play blue, since blue does have hard counters for anything, and a Counterspell is probably strictly better than this 1 mana Counterspell for only artifacts. So I would argue that decks like Queen Marchesa would profit from it greatly, since most of the times you play kind of like a control-y, stacksy, group-huggy strategy, maybe a Mogus deck that goes a similar route. By the way, Artifact Blast is in 0% of all the decks that could play it, and I think this number is just way too low for a card that is a 1 mana counterspell for artifacts. It is also a common from Antiquities. It did not have any reprints yet. Costs around $2 apparently in the US, and also around 150 or 2 euros depending on condition on the European market. I do own several copies of this since I do have an Antiquities cube, but it's great to know this one doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to get it, even though it's so old. But in my eyes, cards like these that are so old will at some point follow suit, like commons from Arabian Nights, and cost around $5 or more per piece. So if you don't have a copy yet, just get it out of the way. Get yourself a copy of Artifact Blast before they rise up in price. But now I do want to hear from you guys. Have you ever seen Artifact Blast before? Do you consider playing it now? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.